The grand chamber of the Galactic Council sparkled under the light of 3 artificial suns. Thousands of alien species sat in circular rows that reached toward the ceiling, their murmurs echoing through the vast space. Today's meeting was special. The Zixthani Empire was about to receive their standard briefing about a newly discovered spacefaring race. Ambassador Cthor of the Zixthani lounged in his seat, his scaled skin reflecting purple and blue patterns of boredom. His 4 eyes blinked slowly as he watched the ancient Arctians float toward the center platform. The crystalline beings glowed with internal light, their voices chiming like bells as they began their presentation. Today we discuss the species known as humans, the lead Arctian announced, its crystal form pulsing with each word. We strongly advise against any hostile actions toward their homeworld, Earth. Cthor straightened slightly. Usually, the Arctians were diplomatic and careful with their words. A direct warning was unusual. The main display activated, showing a small blue planet. Humans are deceptively primitive, the Arctian continued. They have only achieved spaceflight within the last century. However, they are perfectly evolved killing machines. Laughter rippled through the Zixthani delegation. Thor smirked, his scales flashing with amusement. How dangerous could a young species be to the mighty Zixthani Empire, which had conquered 17 star systems? The Arctian's light dimmed slightly, a sign of concern. You laugh, but consider these facts. Humans are persistence predators. In their early history, they hunted by simply following prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. They can survive extreme temperatures, recover from severe injuries, and adapt to almost any environment. The display showed human bodies, highlighting their features. Their endurance is remarkable. They can go days without sleep, weeks without food. Their pattern recognition abilities are among the highest we've ever recorded. They can throw projectiles with deadly accuracy, a rare trait in the galaxy. Cthor yawned openly. Every species had their strengths. The Zixthani had superior technology, advanced weaponry, and centuries of military experience. Most concerning, the Arctian's voice grew stronger, is their response to threats. Humans don't just fight. They innovate. When faced with superior forces, they adapt and overcome. Their military history shows countless examples of smaller forces defeating larger ones through creativity and determination. The briefing continued with examples of human warfare, technological advancement, and cultural unity in times of crisis. Thor paid little attention. Instead, he was already composing a message to the military council back home. Later, in the grand meeting hall of the Zixthani Military Council, Cthor presented his report. The council members sat around a crescent-shaped table, their scales glowing with interest. The Arctians are being overly cautious, Cthor declared. These humans have barely left their own planet. Their ships are primitive, their weapons basic. They would be simple to subjugate. General Vexthar, the head of the military council, flicked his tongue thoughtfully. The Arctians have survived for millions of years. Their warnings usually have merit. The Arctians have grown soft, Cthor argued. They fear everything. Look at these humans. They still use combustion engines. Their cities have no energy shields. Their weapons are based on chemical explosives. The council members studied the data. It was true. Human technology seemed laughably basic compared to their own. A single battle fleet could secure their entire system, Cthor continued. We could add their world to our empire within days. After hours of discussion, the council made their decision. They would launch a standard conquest operation. 3 battle fleets would be more than enough to handle this primitive species. As the meeting ended, General Vexthar looked one last time at the image of Earth floating in the display. Something about the Arctian's warning bothered him, but he pushed the thought aside. After all, what could possibly go wrong? In the depths of space, ancient Arctian sensors detected the movement of Zixthani battle fleets. The crystalline beings pulsed with resignation. They had warned them. Now, They would watch and record what happened when yet another empire underestimated humanity's potential. The morning was ordinary in New York City until the massive ships appeared in the sky. They seemed to materialize out of nowhere, their dark metal hulls blocking the sun. Similar scenes played out over every major city on Earth: London, Tokyo, Beijing, Moscow, and dozens more. Sarah Chen, lead scientist at the Global Defense Initiative, watched the radar screens with intense focus. Unlike the panicking reporters on TV, she remained calm. So did her colleagues around the world. They had been preparing for this day for decades. Alien ships detected over 37 major cities, her assistant reported. Size matches our predictions from the crashed vessel we recovered in 1947. Sarah nodded, remembering the years spent reverse engineering that small scout ship. Have they made any aggressive moves? No, ma'am. They're just hovering. Aboard the lead Zixthani vessel, Commander Zexrol watched the human cities through their advanced sensors. His scales flickered with confusion. Where is the panic? The chaos? The masses fleeing in terror? His second-in-command checked the readings again. Humans appear to be continuing their daily activities. There are some gatherings to observe our ships, but no signs of mass hysteria. This wasn't normal. Every other species they had conquered showed immediate fear at the sight of their mighty fleet. Humans were just taking pictures with their primitive devices. Launch the intimidation protocol, Zexrol ordered. Show them our power. The Zixthani ships activated their energy shields, creating spectacular light shows in the sky. Their weapon systems powered up, causing the deep humming that vibrated through the cities below. In the White House Situation Room, the President of the United States received reports from around the world. Military leaders, scientists, and intelligence officers presented their assessments. Thanks to decades of secret preparations, they weren't going in blind. The Chinese and Russians confirmed their quantum defense systems are ready, the Joint Chiefs Chairman reported. European allies are in position. Indian and Brazilian tech teams report successful infiltration of alien communication frequencies. The President looked at the gathered leaders on the video conference. Is everyone ready for Protocol Omega? They all nodded. Humanity had known this day would come. They had found ways to cooperate, to prepare, to advance their technology in secret while appearing primitive to any watching eyes. Back on the Zixthani command ship, Commander Zexrol grew increasingly frustrated. Why aren't they begging for mercy? Send the ultimatum. A massive hologram appeared over each city, showing the fearsome scaled face of Zexrol. He spoke in a booming voice that their translation systems rendered in every human language. Primitive humans, your planet is surrounded. Your technology is no match for our power. You have 24 Earth hours to surrender unconditionally, or we will demonstrate our superior might. Choose wisely. In the GDI headquarters, Sarah Chen allowed herself a small smile. They gave us 24 hours. That's generous of them. Her team was already at work, their quantum computers, hidden in underground bunkers, breaking through alien encryption. The crashed ship from 1947 had taught them much about Zixthani technology. Now those lessons would pay off. Around the world, hidden military bases activated. Decades of reversed engineered technology, carefully concealed from alien observation, powered up. Weapons that looked primitive on the outside, but contained surprisingly advanced technology were prepared. Commander Zexrol watched with satisfaction as his ultimatum was delivered. Now we wait for their surrender, he told his crew. No primitive species can stand against our might. In the deep bunkers beneath the Earth's surface, humanity's leaders shared a knowing look. The aliens had made their first major mistake. They had given humanity time to prepare. Send the response, the President ordered. A simple message was transmitted to the alien fleet in all frequencies. Message received. We will respond in 24 hours. What the Zixthani didn't know was that humanity's response had been ready for 75 years. They were about to learn why the Galactic Council had warned them about humans. The 24-hour deadline was approaching. Commander Zexrol stood proudly on his bridge, waiting for the humans to surrender. His scales glowed with anticipation as the final minutes ticked away. "Sir," his technology officer called out suddenly, "I'm detecting strange signals in our systems." "Ignore it," Zexrol commanded. "What can primitive human technology do to our advanced ships?" Then everything went wrong at once. Warning lights flashed across every console. Ship after ship reported the same problem. Their targeting systems were acting strange. Weapons wouldn't respond. Defense shields flickered. "Impossible," Zexrol roared. "How are they doing this?" In her underground command center, Sarah Chen watched the results of humanity's first strike. "Quantum virus deployment successful," she announced. 70 years of studying that crashed ship finally paid off. The aliens had never suspected that humans had discovered quantum computing decades ago. They had kept it secret, developing it in hidden facilities, waiting for this moment. Now, the complex virus they had designed was spreading through the alien fleet's systems like wildfire. "They're trying to fix their systems," Sarah's assistant reported. "We have maybe 10 minutes before they adapt." Sarah nodded. "That's all we need." Launch Phase 2. Around the world, what looked like ordinary missile silos opened. The Zixthani sensors detected primitive ballistic missiles launching. Hundreds of them. Their commanders laughed at such an outdated attack. "Let them waste their primitive weapons," Zexrol said confidently. "Even with our targeting systems damaged, our shields will." He never finished his sentence. The primitive missiles suddenly shifted, their outer shells falling away to reveal something very different inside. Technology that shouldn't have been possible on Earth. "Phase shift warheads detected," a Zixthani officer screamed. "They have phase shift technology." The missiles passed right through the aliens' energy shields as if they weren't there. This technology, reversed engineered from the crashed ship's drive core, was humanity's best-kept secret. Explosions lit up the sky as missile after missile found their targets. Zixthani ships, their defensive systems compromised by the quantum virus, took heavy damage. "How?" Zexrol demanded as his ship shook from a direct hit. They were supposed to be primitive. Their technology was basic. In the White House Situation Room, military leaders watched the battle unfold. "Chinese phase shift missiles have hit their targets," one general reported. "Russian quantum-tipped warheads are breaking through their secondary defenses. Indian cyber teams have completely disabled their communication networks." The president nodded grimly. "And our special weapon?" "Ready for deployment, sir." High above the Earth, the International Space Station suddenly shed its fake exterior panels, revealing advanced weapon systems that had been hidden in plain sight for years. What the aliens had dismissed as a primitive orbital platform was actually a state-of-the-art battle station. "Space Station Zeus is engaging," Sarah reported, watching as the station's weapons opened fire on the alien fleet. The Zixthani fleet was in chaos. Their superior technology, compromised by human cyber attacks, was failing them. Their mighty ships, designed to resist conventional weapons, were helpless against humanity's hidden capabilities. "Full retreat," Zexrol finally ordered. "Back to the rally point. We need reinforcements." As the alien ships fled Earth's orbit, humanity's leaders allowed themselves to celebrate, but not for long. They knew this was just the beginning. "They'll be back," Sarah said, watching the aliens retreat. "And next time, they'll be ready for these tricks." "Then we'll show them some new ones," her assistant replied confidently. "After all, they've only seen a fraction of what we can do." In space, the damaged Zixthani fleet regrouped, their commander's scales now dark with rage and humiliation. They had underestimated these humans, but that wouldn't happen again. What they didn't realize was that humanity was counting on their return. Sometimes, the best trap isn't the first strike, it's what comes after. 3 days after the first battle, scientists around the world worked frantically in their labs. The Zixthani retreat had left them with an unexpected gift: wreckage from their damaged ships. Dr. James Wilson held up a piece of alien metal in his London laboratory. "Amazing," he muttered. "Their whole material responds to electrical currents." Across the room, his computers analyzed the alien metal's properties, learning its secrets. In Tokyo, Dr. Yuki Tanaka made an even more exciting discovery. "The alien biotech is compatible with human DNA," she announced to her team. Their medical systems were designed to work with multiple species. Humanity was doing what it did best: learning, adapting, and improving. Meanwhile, in deep space, the Xthani fleet was regrouping. Commander Zexrol stood before a holographic display showing their losses. His scales had turned a pale gray, the color of shame. "The humans knew too much about our systems," he growled. "They must have had access to our technology before." His new second-in-command, recently arrived with the reinforcement fleet, spoke up. "We've modified our encryption. Our shields now rotate frequencies. They won't be able to use the same tricks again." "Good," Zexrol said. "This time, we'll show them true power." Back on Earth, Sarah Chen received the alert she'd been waiting for. "Alien fleet detected," her assistant reported. 5 times larger than before. "New ship designs detected." Sarah smiled. Perfect timing. "Show me what we've accomplished in 3 days." Screens lit up around her, showing humanity's progress. In Russia, factories had already copied the alien metal, creating new armor for their vehicles. Chinese scientists had reversed engineered the alien biocomputers. American quantum computers had cracked another layer of alien code. "Launch the drones," Sarah ordered. Thousands of small, unmanned craft rose from hidden bases. They looked like simple Earth satellites from the outside, but inside they contained a mix of human and alien technology. 3 days of studying the wreckage had led to this new hybrid tech. The Xthani fleet approached Earth confidently. Their ships now had better defenses, stronger weapons. Zexrol watched the planet grow larger on their screens. "Sir," an officer called out. "Unknown devices approaching." The human drones swarmed around the alien ships. When the Xthani tried to scan them, they found something impossible: technology that was both familiar and foreign at the same time. "How did they copy our technology so fast?" Zexrol demanded. But there was no time for answers. The drones attacked. Some released electromagnetic pulses that had been specifically tuned to the alien ship's new frequencies. Others fired weapons that combined human nuclear technology with alien energy systems, something that shouldn't have been possible to create in just 3 days. In her lab, Dr. Tanaka injected herself with the first human-alien hybrid medical system. If it worked, human soldiers would be able to heal from injuries as fast as the Xthani. Sometimes, she said to her nervous team, "You have to test things yourself." The space battle grew more intense. The Xthani found that their modified shields couldn't stop weapons they'd never seen before. Human creativity had combined 2 technologies to create something entirely new. "Impossible," Zexrol shouted as another ship fell to the hybrid weapons. "No species can adapt this quickly." But humans could. It was what they had always done throughout their history: give them a problem, and they would find a solution. Show them new technology, and they would improve it. "Sir," Sarah's assistant reported, "Dr. Tanaka's experiment was successful. The medical tech is ready for deployment." Sarah nodded. "Good, because I have a feeling we're going to need it. The Xthani won't just retreat this time. They're too angry now." She was right. Despite their losses, the alien fleet pressed forward. They had one last trick to try: ground invasion. But they were about to learn another harsh lesson about human adaptation. Because while some humans had been studying alien technology, others had been preparing the Earth itself for war. The Xthani ground forces landed in waves, their dropships breaking through Earth's atmosphere. Commander Zexrol had deployed his most elite warriors, the Crimson Guard. Each soldier stood 3 meters tall, with enhanced strength and advanced battle armor. "Let's see how these humans fight on the ground," Zexrol said, watching from orbit. "Our warriors have conquered 100 worlds." The first battle took place in the outskirts of Berlin. The aliens expected an easy victory. They were wrong. Captain Maria Schmidt led her team through the city's underground tunnels. Like many cities on Earth, Berlin had spent years preparing for this day. The sewers and subway systems had been secretly converted into military bases. "They're right above us," Maria whispered into her radio. Her soldiers wore the new hybrid armor developed from alien technology. "Remember your training. We don't need to beat them in straight combat." The Crimson Guard marched confidently through the streets, their heavy footsteps echoing. Suddenly, the ground beneath them exploded, not with bombs, but with dozens of small holes. Human soldiers popped up everywhere, fired their weapons, and disappeared again. "What is this cowardice?" the Zixthani commander roared. "Stand and fight." But the humans didn't fight the way the aliens expected. They struck fast, retreated, then struck again from another direction. The city itself seemed to work against the invaders. Streets would flood without warning, power lines would fall, and buildings would suddenly collapse. In New Delhi, the aliens faced a different challenge. The crowded streets they'd seen from orbit were now empty. But the buildings were full of surprises. Every window could hide a sniper. Every door could lead to a trap. "Sir," a Crimson Guard reported to his commander, "we're losing too many warriors. The humans, they never stop. We kill them, but more appear. We chase them, but they lead us into traps." The alien commanders couldn't understand it. Their soldiers were stronger, better armed, and had centuries of combat experience. But they were losing to these primitive humans. In Moscow's underground command center, Sarah Chen met with military leaders from around the world. The monitors showed alien forces struggling in every major city. "The Zixthani are used to quick victories," she explained. "They've never fought an enemy that uses our tactics." On the screens, they watched as human soldiers demonstrated why Earth's military history was so important. Guerrilla warfare, developed over centuries of human conflict, proved devastating against the aliens' formal battle formations. In Tokyo, a group of Crimson Guard chased human soldiers into a seemingly empty building. They found themselves trapped in a specially designed maze, their advanced weapons useless in the close quarters. "They're not just fighting us," one alien warrior realized too late. "They're hunting us." The humans had another advantage. They were fighting for their home. Every citizen became a potential soldier. Taxi drivers knew every shortcut in their cities. Construction workers turned their equipment into weapons. Even children helped by spreading false information about human movements. "How?" Zexrol demanded, watching his ground forces fall into trap after trap. "How can they keep fighting? We've been battling for days without rest." What he didn't understand was that humans were persistence predators. They didn't need to win every battle. They just needed to outlast their enemy. Sarah checked the latest reports. The alien forces had lost almost 40% of their ground troops. The mighty Crimson Guard, undefeated for centuries, was being picked apart by human tactics they'd never encountered. "They'll try something desperate soon," she warned. "The Zixthani aren't used to losing." She was right. In orbit, Commander Zexrol had reached a breaking point. His scales had turned black with rage. If his elite warriors couldn't defeat the humans on the ground, and his ships couldn't win in space, then there was only one option left. "Prepare the planet killer," he ordered. "If we can't have this world, no one will." But humanity had been preparing for this too. Sometimes, the best trap is letting your enemy think they have no choice but to use their strongest weapon. Commander Zexrol stood on his bridge, his scales now completely black with fury. The massive planet killer weapon charged slowly, its energy core glowing with deadly purpose. It was the pride of the Zixthani fleet, a weapon that could crack a planet in half. "The planet killer will be ready to fire in 10 minutes, his weapons officer reported. "No civilization has ever survived this weapon." Down on Earth, alarms blared in every command center. Sarah Chen rushed through the underground facility, reaching the main control room where world leaders had gathered through video screens. "They're charging their planet killer," she announced, just as we expected. The President of the United States leaned forward. "Is Operation Mirror ready?" Sarah nodded. "We've been building it since we found the plans in their crashed ship 70 years ago. We just needed them to use the weapon first." Around the world, hidden satellites moved into position. They looked like ordinary weather satellites from the outside, but inside they contained humanity's most ambitious project, a massive energy reflection system. Dr. Wilson's voice came through the speakers from his London lab. "The reflection field will only work once. We'll have one chance to get this right." In orbit, the planet killer's charge reached 80%. Commander Zexrol allowed himself a cruel smile. "Let's see them adapt to having their planet destroyed." "Sir," his science officer interrupted, "I'm detecting strange energy readings from Earth's orbit. Their satellites are moving." "Ignore it," Zexrol commanded. "Nothing can stop the planet killer. Fire when ready." The massive weapon powered up, its barrel glowing with enough energy to destroy a world. The beam shot toward Earth, lighting up space like a second sun. "Now," Sarah shouted. Thousands of satellites activated at once. The technology stolen from the crashed ship, combined with human innovation, created something the Zixthani had never imagined, a massive mirror of pure energy. The planet killer's beam hit the reflection field. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, impossibly, the beam curved. It bent in a perfect arc, turning back toward the alien fleet. "Impossible," Zexrol screamed. "Shut it down." But it was too late. The planet killer couldn't be stopped once it fired. The Zixthani watched in horror as their own weapon's energy beam streaked back toward them. The blast caught dozens of ships in its path. The mighty vessels, pride of the Zixthani Empire, were torn apart by their own weapon. Commander Zexrol's flagship barely managed to escape the blast, but many of his ships weren't so lucky. In the underground bunker, humans watched their plan work perfectly. The reflection field satellites burned out, destroyed by the immense energy they had redirected, but they had done their job. "Direct hit," Sarah's assistant reported. 40% of their fleet destroyed. Another 30% heavily damaged. The remaining Zixthani ships floated in space, their crews in shock. No one had ever turned their planet killer against them. It wasn't supposed to be possible. "Status report," Sarah called out. "Reflection field satellites are burned out, but the defensive grid is holding. Ground forces report the aliens are in retreat worldwide. Their remaining ships are pulling back to a safe distance." For the first time since the invasion began, Sarah allowed herself to relax slightly. "Send them the message." A simple transmission went out to the alien fleet. "Your weapon has failed. Your ground forces are defeated. This is your only warning. Leave Earth's space or face complete destruction. We have more surprises waiting." On his damaged flagship, Commander Zexrol received the message. His scales had turned gray, the color of defeat. He looked at his shattered fleet, his dead warriors, and made the hardest decision of his life. "Order a full retreat," he said quietly. "The Arctians were right. We should have listened." But as the alien ships turned to flee, Sarah Chen and her team weren't celebrating. They knew this wasn't the end. The Zixthani Empire would be back. If not them, then another alien race would try their luck. And humanity would be ready. They always were. 1 month after the Zixthani retreat, the Great Chamber of the Galactic Council buzzed with excitement. For the first time in history, human representatives were about to take their seats, not as newcomers begging for acceptance, but as a powerful force that had earned their place. Sarah Chen walked into the chamber alongside the world's leaders. She noticed how other alien species moved aside, their expressions showing a mix of fear and respect. The defeat of the mighty Zixthani Empire had sent shockwaves through the galaxy. The crystalline Arctians glowed warmly as the humans approached. "We did warn them," the lead Arctian said, its voice chiming like bells, though even we didn't expect such an impressive victory. In the far corner, the remaining Zixthani delegation sat quietly, their scales a dull gray. Commander Zexrol had been removed from his position. Their empire had lost nearly half its fleet, and their reputation for military supremacy was shattered. The Council recognizes Earth as a full member, the Archean announced, and we welcome their insights on defensive technologies. Sarah stepped forward to address the gathered species. The universal translators carried her words to every alien present. Earth thanks the Council for this recognition, she began. We come with an offer of peace through strength. Our technology, our resources, and our knowledge are available to peaceful allies. But, she paused, looking directly at the Zixthani delegation, we will not tolerate aggression. Murmurs spread through the chamber. The humans were offering to share their secrets, the same technologies that had defeated the undefeatable Zixthani. Back on Earth, changes were already visible. The pretense of being a primitive civilization had been dropped. Hidden cities emerged from under the oceans. Advanced factories appeared from beneath mountain ranges. Quantum computers were openly used in every major city. Dr. Wilson stood in his London laboratory, now working alongside alien scientists who had come to learn from Earth. The key to human success, he explained to his amazed visitors, isn't just our technology. It's our ability to adapt and improve everything we find. In Tokyo, Dr. Tanaka's hybrid medical technology was revolutionizing galactic medicine. Human creativity combined with alien bioscience, she told a group of alien doctors. Together, we can do more than either could alone. The Galactic Council updated its archives with a new warning about humans, a species that turns setbacks into advantages. Their true strength lies not in their weapons or technology, but in their unstoppable drive to improve and adapt. They don't just survive, they thrive on challenges, approach with respect and peaceful intentions. Sarah walked through the Council's great library, reading the histories of countless alien civilizations. She stopped at the new human section, where their story was being recorded for future generations. Do you regret testing us? She asked an Archean floating nearby, the crystalline being pulsed with gentle light. The Zixthani's attack was inevitable. Better to have it happen when humanity was prepared. Sarah smiled, understanding now that the Archean's warning to the Zixthani had been carefully calculated. They had known the aggressive empire wouldn't listen, and that humanity needed to prove itself to the galaxy. In the years that followed, Earth became a center of galactic innovation. Human persistence, creativity, and adaptability, combined with alien knowledge, led to advances that benefited all species. The feared Zixthani Empire transformed into a more peaceful civilization, having learned their lesson the hard way. But humanity never grew complacent. Hidden facilities still developed new technologies. Underground bases remained ready for any threat, because humans knew that somewhere out there, someone might not listen to the Council's warnings. And when that day came, humanity would be ready. After all, that's what humans did best. Prepare for the worst while hoping for the best, adapt to any challenge, and turn every setback into an opportunity for growth. The galaxy had learned an important lesson. The species that seems primitive might just be the most dangerous of all. Sometimes, the best weapons aren't the ones you can see. They're the determination, creativity, and resilience hidden behind a primitive facade.